It was a cold, gray autumn morning in the hills of Vermont. David Carter stood in the kitchen of his secluded country home, sipping coffee and staring at the falling leaves outside his window. Everything looked peaceful, except his heart. His twin sons, Eli and Noah, had been bedridden for months, and no doctor could explain why. They had once been full of energy, always running through the house, giggling, chasing their golden retriever Charlie, and filling the air with the vibrant joy of childhood. But now, their laughter had vanished, replaced with eerie silence and pale faces that stared blankly at the ceiling. David had taken them to countless specialists across the state, from pediatricians to neurologists, yet no one had a definitive answer. Each test came back inconclusive. No infections, no autoimmune markers, nothing. It was as if their bodies were slowly giving up without cause. At just 8 years old, they were fading right before his eyes, and he felt utterly powerless to stop it. The phone rang. It was his company. "Emergency trip, David. 3 days. You fly out Monday. Could be gone for a while." He sighed, glancing at the family photo on the mantel, his late wife Emily, beaming with joy as she cradled the newborn twins. "This couldn't come at a worse time," he whispered. Helen Walker, the loyal housekeeper who had been with the Carters since the boys were born, shuffled into the room. "How are they this morning?" David asked. "Ellie had a fever all night," she said quietly. "Noah's barely talking. And Linda," she trailed off. Linda Moore, Emily's older sister, had moved in after Emily's death to help with the children. She insisted on managing their meals and medications. David had been grateful, but something about her intensity had grown. Unsettling. "I don't know if she can keep doing this alone while I'm gone," he admitted. He picked up the phone and dialed his old friend Ryan Bennett. "Ryan, I need a favor. I need a nurse. Someone who's the real deal." That evening, Ryan called back. "So I've got someone. Her name's Grace Mitchell. 10 years in pediatric care, now working private cases. Families say she's a miracle worker." The next afternoon, a silver SUV pulled into the driveway. Grace stepped out, tall, calm, professional. Her chestnut hair was pulled into a neat bun. In her eyes, warmth and something sharper. David led her inside. Linda offered a frosty greeting. "Oh, you'll find everything you need. But just so you know, the boys are used to me." Grace nodded. "Oh, let me meet them." Eli and Noah were ghostly pale, lying silent in their beds. Grace smiled warmly. "Hey there, I'm Grace. I'm here to help." The boys glanced at each other. Then Noah whispered, "Well, you don't look like the others." That night, Grace began reading through their medical records, and what she saw didn't sit right. The symptoms weren't consistent. Grace flipped through charts and test results by lamplight. One thing stood out. The boys always got worse after meals. But in the mornings, they were oddly alert, until breakfast. She made a quiet note. David, preparing to leave, handed Grace a phone with camera feeds installed in the children's room. "It's all set up. You'll get alerts. Call me for anything." Linda's jaw tightened when she saw the cameras. "That's a bit much, don't you think?" "On just a precaution," Grace said, watching her reaction. That evening, Grace offered to help feed the boys. "I always do it," Linda snapped, her voice sharp like a sudden crack in the silence of the room. Her eyes darted to the boys, then back to Grace, as if daring her to question it. Grace didn't argue. She simply offered a polite nod and stepped back slightly, folding her arms casually while mentally making a note of Linda's heightened defensiveness. She watched closely, not just the movements, but the tension in Linda's shoulders, the nervous way she gripped the spoon. Something about her territorial behavior over the boys' care unsettled Grace more than she wanted to admit. Late that night, Grace checked on the twins. They were still awake. "Tired?" she asked. Eli looked at her and whispered, "My Miss Grace, can we not eat the soup tomorrow?" "Why not?" "And it makes our heads feel funny, like spinning." She tucked them in gently, but her mind was racing. The next day, she called Ryan. "I need your help, quietly. I want a toxicology screen, and we need to talk about their medications. Some things aren't adding up." Downstairs, Helen whispered, "Oh, Miss Grace, something's off. Linda won't let anyone else cook for them. And I found odd receipts in her trash from some chemical lab." Grace's blood ran cold. Grace inspected the kitchen while Linda went out. Inside a spice cabinet, she found a small unlabeled tin. She dipped her finger inside, odorless white powder. She carefully scraped some into a plastic evidence bag. That night, she watched through a crack in the door as Linda gave the boys a glass of nighttime vitamins. When she left, Grace quietly entered and swapped Eli's untouched drink with plain water. She kept the glass for testing. The next day, Grace ran her own little experiment. She accidentally spilled the soup Linda made. "Oh no, but don't worry, I've got special pediatric meals with me," Grace said brightly, carefully placing her containers on the kitchen counter. "These are nutrient-dense, easy on the stomach, and packed with everything growing boys need. My last patients loved them." She warmed the food, plated it, and brought the dishes to the twins with a gentle smile. "Oh, no pressure, just eat what you can," she added as she settled near their beds. That day, something changed. Eli, who had barely spoken in days, suddenly sat up straighter. After a few bites, he looked over at Grace with a flicker of curiosity in his eyes. "Do you have any books?" he asked, his voice hoarse but sincere. Grace's heart skipped. "Of course," she said, and later brought him a few picture books from the study. Noah, who had been barely able to lift his arms, swung his legs over the side of the bed and took a few wobbly steps to the window with Grace's help. "I want to see the trees," he whispered. Grace quietly made notes in her journal, her hands trembling slightly. The change was undeniable. Grace recorded every detail. Day after day, she repeated the routine, changing their food and watching them improve until the evidence was undeniable. That night, she heard Linda talking to herself. "No, Emily, I'm trying, but they're not going to you yet. I need more time." Grace hit record on her phone. She called Ryan. "You need to come now and bring the toxicology results." When he arrived, he was pale. "The powder contains traces of heavy metals. This is deliberate, slow poisoning. I have the meals. I have the logs. I even have her talking to Emily," Grace said. That evening, Grace gathered the courage to confront Linda. "Oh, you've been poisoning them." Linda's eyes went glassy. No, I'm saving them. Emily comes to me. She tells me they need her. They don't belong here, not without her." David, who had arrived early from his trip, stepped in just in time to hear her chilling confession. "I just wanted them to sleep and wake up with her," Linda sobbed. The police arrived moments later. With Linda taken to a psychiatric facility, the house finally felt safe. The atmosphere shifted overnight, as if a long, invisible storm had finally passed. The air was lighter, the rooms felt warmer, and for the first time in months, the home didn't echo with tension. David clutched his boys in his arms, his grip trembling with emotion as tears streamed freely down his face. The fear, the uncertainty, the helplessness he had bottled up came pouring out. "I thought I was going to lose you both. I really thought you were slipping away from me," he choked. Eli pressed his small hand against his father's cheek. "Well, you didn't," he whispered, his voice fragile but full of truth. "Grace saved us." From that day forward, Grace never left their side. Weeks passed. The boys recovered quickly. Laughter returned to the home. One morning, Noah called out, "Mom!" But not to a memory, to Grace. She froze. "You mean me?" He nodded. "Yeah, you're our mom now, right?" That evening, David took her hand on the porch. "Stay. Not as our nurse, as part of our family." She didn't speak. She just kissed him. A year later, the backyard was full of balloons and laughter. Eli and Noah ran through the garden with their golden retriever, Charlie. Grace, now visibly pregnant, set the table for their 9th birthday party. Linda, stabilized and healing, arrived with her new companion, Tom, a librarian she met in treatment. She apologized again. The boys hugged her. Time, it seemed, had softened even the sharpest scars. That night, under a canopy of stars, David whispered, "I never thought we'd get here." Grace replied, "And this is just the beginning." As a shooting star streaked across the sky, no one made a wish, because for the first time in years, everyone had everything they needed.